Chapter 26, Giant Python. The fireball hit the giant python's head directly, leaving it stunned and causing a large gash on its head, but it didn't kill the snake. Jiang Ran couldn't dodge in time and was struck by the thrashing tail, sending her flying and crashing to the ground. However, her physical condition was now quite robust, and the impact didn't burden her too much. Qingcheng and his group, who had been running desperately, were momentarily stopped by the explosion. They halted and were about to turn back to check on Jiang Ran's condition when they heard her voice. "Why are you standing there? Keep running." Upon hearing Jiang Ran's voice and realizing she was still alive and energetic, the group understood that she was in control. They accelerated their pace and continued downhill. Seeing everyone running, the python seemed disoriented, still recovering from the shockwaves. Jiang Ran quickly threw 2 more fireballs at the python. Boom! Boom! 2 consecutive explosions sounded, and the bewildered giant python hadn't yet regained its senses when its head was blown open by the explosions. Its body, however, was still alive, as evidenced by its violent writhing. Nearby trees were knocked over by the snake's convulsions. But Jiang Ran paid no further attention to the python. She turned and headed downhill. Without its head, the python would eventually die. Due to its unique body structure, its demise would be slower, but it no longer posed a threat to Jiang Ran's group. With the python no longer a threat, Jiang Ran's urgency subsided. Holding a flashlight, she walked downhill leisurely. Qingcheng's group had reached the bottom of the hill, but Jiang Ran was nowhere to be seen, causing them great anxiety. Qingcheng anxiously scanned the hillside, muttering, "Why hasn't she come down yet? Could something have gone wrong when we were running? We heard 2 more explosions." Yuan was also anxious, saying, "Please, don't let anything happen to her." Furrowing his brows, Qingcheng regretted listening to Jiang Ran's advice. He comforted his wife while keeping a close watch on the hillside. Thump, thump, thump. The sound of the python's tail striking trees and the ground echoed from the hill. Qingcheng's group assumed that Jiang Ran was locked in a fierce battle with the python, intensifying their worry. Yuan said, "This is not good. Jiang's sister can't handle the python alone." Qingcheng nodded in agreement. "We need to figure something out. At this rate, Jiang Ran might not make it." "Fire," Qingcheng said firmly. "Get fire from the village. We'll take fire up the hill. We'll find a way to repel the python." "Agreed, let's do that." Guansong nodded in approval. The 4 of them hurriedly returned to the village, each holding a torch when they came back after a short while. As they were preparing to head up the hill, they heard rustling sounds from the dark forest. They immediately became alert. Soon, a beam of light shone through the trees and undergrowth. Qingcheng's face lit up, and he tried calling out, "Jiang Ran! It's me!" Seeing the 4 lit torches, Jiang Ran knew it was Qingcheng's group. She responded quickly. "It really is Jiang Ran." Qingcheng was overjoyed and rushed forward with a torch in hand. Jiang Ran also descended from the hill and appeared before the group. Yuan hurriedly stepped forward and examined Jiang Ran, checking her up and down. Seeing that she was not injured, Yuan patted her chest in relief and smiled at Jiang Ran. "You didn't come down with us, and the python was making such a commotion. We were so worried." Qingcheng also came closer. "Jiang's sister, we were all planning to go up the hill to find you and fight the python together." "I'm fine." Qingcheng smiled and said. Guansong also nodded, indicating his concern through his eyes. Feeling the genuine concern from everyone, Jiang Ran felt warmth in her heart. Throughout her life, no one had cared for her so sincerely. Jiang Ran held Yue Zion's hand and looked at the group. "Thank you, I'm okay." Amid the noise from the hillside, Guansong reminded them, "We should leave quickly. If that python comes down from the hill, we won't be able to escape." "Oh, right. Let's go. Quick, let's go." Hastily, the group held their torches and walked back towards the village. Qingcheng glanced back, feeling that something was off about the python's movements. However, he shook off his doubts and joined the rest in their retreat. The fire in the village grew larger and larger. The survivors realized the danger and hastily gathered to extinguish the flames. Bucket after bucket of water was poured onto the burning houses from the village wells. Soon, Jiang Ran's group also arrived and joined the firefighting efforts. Throughout the entire night, hundreds of people tirelessly worked, continuously dousing the fire with buckets of water. Eventually, the flames in the village were extinguished, but many people had suffered burns on their skin. Jiang Ran lay exhausted on the ground, her clothes soaked in sweat. She dipped a towel into a nearby bucket of water and wiped her face, then lay down on the ground, motionless. Qingcheng's group also lay down, closing their eyes in weariness. When they woke up, the sun had already risen, and their clothes had dried. The entire village had turned into a dilapidated ruin due to the fire. The intense flames had incinerated horrifying remains to the point that hardly any could be seen. The landscape was covered in black ashes. Seeing everyone's faces and bodies covered in ash, as if they had just come from a coal mine, Qingcheng burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha, did you all go to Black Continent to mine coal?" The group looked at Qingcheng and couldn't help but laugh as well. Their laughter infected the people around them, creating a chain reaction of laughter. For a brief moment, the gloomy village experienced a fleeting moment of joy. After the laughter subsided, everyone washed themselves with water from the well and put on clean clothes. They ate and drank their fill before setting out on the road to the provincial capital once again. The morning temperatures were relatively cool, and everyone pushed forward energetically. They continued until around 9 o'clock when the temperature rose significantly. Seeking respite from the heat, they took shelter under the shade of trees, waiting for the cooler hours of evening. The pattern repeated itself. Fortunately, they encountered no more evolved creatures on the way. Finally, after 2 more days of travel, some of the people successfully reached the provincial capital. Following the highway at a slow pace, they excitedly reached a road sign indicating the entrance to the provincial capital's territory. Full of anticipation, they continued following the main group, thinking that they were about to see the light. With hopeful hearts, they pressed on, only to find themselves walking for over half an hour without the group showing any signs of stopping.